Call of Duty World War II's first update has gone through. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm Spastik, and I'm here to give you all the info and news you need about the nerfs and buffs that went through, along with some of the bug fixes in this 1.05 patch. I'll go through some of the bug fixes first before we get to the buffs and the nerfs. I know that's the part you guys are all waiting for, but I do want to go over a couple of the quick bug fixes. First, connectivity improvements and optimizations, as usual, were made during this fix. They're always looking to improve connection between players. Obviously, there were quite a few things that went wrong with the servers over the starting weekend. They've been fixed since then, but any of those bugs, they're always trying to work out, and so hopefully the connection will be even better after this patch. Leaderboards. I know myself, I had a negative score per minute overall. That's been fixed. That bug has been fixed. Anybody out there with a negative score per minute, it appears that they have fixed that issue. Your score per minute should be correct. Now, it's not accurate for all game modes, because I can tell you, I still don't have a score per minute for Capture the Flag. Even though it shows I do have kills and deaths and have played a few games, I don't have a score per minute. So your overall score per minute should be corrected, but it looks like they're still working on some of the individual games. There are some issues with loading screens and people getting stuck and frozen in them. Those have supposedly been fixed. Split screen functionality's fixed. Score streak. The flamethrower. Some people were getting a bug where they would earn that and be able to utilize it for the remainder of the game. They had an infinite amount of usage with that kill streak, and that has been fixed. Some people had their shotgun variants that they'd earned in supply drops not showing up in their available weapons, and they weren't able to equip or even see them. That's been fixed. They've made some improvements. It doesn't specify what to the game battles mode. I have not utilized that as of yet, so I don't know what improvement, and they weren't specific about what that was yet. There were some ball exploits on the Gridiron game mode that have been fixed. Lastly, was sort of the bugs and updates. They also added a cool new feature. Apparently, for some people, the sound of the hit markers was too quiet, and they weren't able to hear the sound of a hit marker when they were in a gunfight with a person. Sounded quieter than they were used to in other games, and it was throwing them off a little bit. They weren't sure if they had actually hit the enemy. Well, now, as you can see here, you can adjust that volume yourself in the menu. If it's too quiet, you can turn it up. If it's too loud, you can turn it down. You can now adjust this individually. Very cool feature. Apparently that was a suggestion. They listened to us. That's been fixed. Now, onto the all-important nerfs and buffs. I'm going to go over the buffs first, and then we'll follow it up with the nerfs. There were only 2 buffs. Sort of 2.5. I'll get to that. The first one, the toggle action shotgun. Damage increased at extremely close range. That's it. Not mid-range, not long range, just at extremely close range. The toggle action shotgun's damage has been increased. So you should not get hit markers. You should get a one-hit kill at extremely close range now. Next up, the Bren LMG now has increased damage per shot. So each bullet that hits, higher damage rate. Doesn't give the numbers or specifics, but that should be a much more viable weapon now. Now, when I said there were 2.5 buffs, this is the half. It's not specific to any one weapon, But when you are using any of the LMGs in the bipod stance, the ADS time has been increased. So you will now have a faster ADS time when you're using an LMG in bipod mode. I guess it didn't feel very responsive before. Now it should be. LMGs haven't been very viable in this game so far, so we'll see if those two buffs make the LMGs a more viable option, at least in some game modes. Now on to the nerfs. There are 4 of them. And to be completely honest with you, based on my own observations and feedback I've gotten from the friends I've played with, these are probably the 4 I would have guessed. If somebody had me guess what 4 weapons would be nerfed, these would have been the 4. The first one, a lot of people are going to be bummed out and sigh and be disappointed in this, but the BAR has a decreased fire rate and the hip fire spread has been widened. So it has been nerfed. Again, the BAR damage is the same, but the fire rate has been decreased. A lower fire rate now, and widened hip fire spread, so you are going to be less likely to win a gunfight when you're just hip firing. You're going to throw more bullets now. The second nerf, also an AR, the STG-44. Now, the only thing nerfed with this was the hip fire spread was widened. So, no damage, no range nerf, just a widened hip fire spread for the STG. The third weapon, also an AR. The last of the ARs on the list. The FG-42. Now will have increased recoil and a widened hip fire spread. Now I'll tell you, the recoil felt a little kind of weird on that. It bounced around a lot. It didn't move far from center, but it did bounce around a lot. So its return to center was fairly quick, but it did bounce and move around a lot. We'll see what the recoil feels like now that they've changed it. Honestly, the hip fire spread was so bad. The hip fire on that weapon was so bad before. Now that they've made it worse, I can't even imagine trying to hip fire somebody with that. I think I've only killed maybe 2 people hip firing with that weapon. That's not how you want to use that weapon for sure. Now, ARs are done. The last weapon to receive the nerf was the machine pistol. As you probably could have guessed, it has decreased damage ranges, so you will probably no longer find it to be a viable weapon at medium or long ranges, as you shouldn't, with the machine pistol. It should be primarily a close range, last resort weapon. So, those are your nerfs and your buffs and your updates for this patch. I am going to leave a link to the article where I found all of this info down below. Tell me if you've noticed a difference in any of these weapons. Do they still feel good to you? Do they feel like they nerfed them too much? Do they feel like they buffed the LMGs or the shotgun too much? Are there any other weapons that you wish would be nerfed or buffed? Or any other fixes that you've come across that haven't been mentioned by me or that in the link that I'm providing below, reviewing all of these. At any rate, hope this answered all your questions. I'll be here for all your update news. For now, I'm Spastik, and I'm out of here.